Good morning. Welcome to Sports Talk with Coleman Taylor. I'm your host, Mo Cheeks. Chocolate Thunder is in Philly right now, saving the world, so I'll be carrying the show on my back. We got some exciting topics we're going to talk about, and one of them is my apology to the world because I really thought Cleveland would do a better job, and I kind of discounted Boston, so my apologies to Boston. Speaking of Boston, how amazing are they looking right now? When you really look at that team, who is constructed of their draft picks, think about that, their draft picks and added players. Sound like a Warriors team philosophy. And they're doing this without two of their stars. They're up 2-0 on LeBron James right now. Today they have a chance to make it 3-0. Looking at the stats right now, when they're up 2-0, they're like 37-0, which means that the favor is in their court right now to actually go ahead and just not sweep, but end the series and go to the finals without Kyrie Irving and Gordon Hayward. That's amazing to me. Terry Rozier, I don't think he wants to give the ball back to Kyrie. Marcus Smart, man, Tatum, Brown, Morris. I mean, they put together a good team. And, of course, I'm not going to leave out Horford, who was the original big signee a couple of years ago. So they really have a great team. And that's the thing they have as a team. And they're playing a team that doesn't know who they are or have an identity in Cleveland right now. And I think that they're using that to their advantage. The tempo that they're playing, they play within themselves. They're not out here trying to out big you, they're not trying to out quick you, they know the players that they have. That's what's scary right now about the Boston Celtics, because even if there's a chance that they lose this series next year, they should be the favorite. Even if they win this series and go on to maybe possibly win the NBA championship next year, they should be highly favored. They're doing this without two of their most valuable pieces right now, which I think one of those pieces may not be there next year, which is Gordon Hayward. I think he's a tradable asset right now. If you're a team looking for a scoring small forward, that's the one you should go for, because I think at the end of the season, no matter how this season plays out, I think he will be on the trading block. And it's not because he's a good player. It's not because he got hurt. It's because look at what you have right now. You'll keep Kyrie because he's younger. He's 26. He's younger. You get 10 more years out of him. But the fact that you have Tatum gives you the flexibility to let that $100 million player go, which is a good thing because you can use him to get draft picks and do what you've been doing, build through the draft. They got an excellent team that knows how to go in there and pick players for the draft. Now, when you look at that and you look at that team, let's go to Cleveland, who only draft pick that they have right now currently on their roster, if I'm not mistaken, is Tristan Thompson. He's not really panning out that well. He's solid, but that's about it. But I was looking through social media, and a meme popped up on my feed from Eastside 910, and it said, is LeBron James misusing his players? And I was like, let me think about that. And the reason why it got me to think is because I thought that trade was an amazing trade for Cleveland. The players that they got back, honestly, I looked at those players. Not only were they good enough for now, but they were the players that you could build on for the future. I'm a big fan of Nance. I like his father, and I like him. He doesn't go out there and try to be like his father. He goes out there, he does his job, and he does it very well. Rodney Hood, of course, Duke. Big up to Duke, so I'm familiar with Hood, but Hood was leading the Jazz in scoring before Donovan Mitchell came there. And I'm not faulting the Jazz for that trade because Donovan Mitchell is Donovan Mitchell. I can't even fathom anything else. But when I look at Rodney Hood, he's still a scorer. Between 16 and 20 points a night, he can give you. He's that good. Jordan Clarkson is a point guard that loves the ball in his hand, and he loves to cut to the hole. He doesn't like sitting outside and shooting threes all the time. He actually likes going to the hole. He could control the flow of the game. And, of course, Hill. mean, Greg Popovich loved him and never wanted to really trade him. And every team he's been on, he has been a solid veteran and he knows what to do. And plus, his 3-point percentage is up. So you have these pieces that you added in and you're not getting the most out of them. Is that coaching or is that LeBron? That's a great question because, maybe we got kind of, used to him having Dwayne Wade, Chris Bosh, and all those others who were able to play within him. Now you have players that you are asking to play within him, but is he willing, helping to exploit their game, to explore their game, to bring their game to the level that he needs it to be? And I honestly think no. I think he's misusing them, especially Rodney Hood. I think he should be starting over J.R. Smith. And I know a lot of people are like, well, he didn't want to come in there doing garbage time. Well, let's put yourself in those shoes. And would you want to go in? No. And that's just the way the players are these days. And do I think that was a bad move on his part? Yeah. He apologized, whether if it was sincere or not. He apologized. I can't judge his sincerity on his apology. But, I mean, that's a hurtful feeling when you know you're better than the person in front of you. I mean, Steven Jackson, alluded to that he was better than the player in front of him, and he would never concede to that person and say, you're better than me. He said, no, I don't care if it's better for the team. I cannot say that this person's better than me when I'm beating them. And Rodney Hood's the same way. I mean, those are the type of players you really want. You want those players that you could look at and he thinks he's better. And then in this case, he is. J.R. Smith, for whatever reason, is shelling himself. I think his talent is there, but I don't think his motor is there. And it comes with winning a championship. He has a championship. You can't take that away from him. Right now, Kevin Love has a championship. I still think Kevin Love is trying to work himself back into shape. I still think he's trying to work himself back in. But I don't think LeBron James is really using his players the way he should. I think this game today, I think LeBron should be more of a facilitator. And I think he should facilitate to the other players, get them going. Because you get them going, you're going to get yours. You're LeBron James. The way the game is set up right now, as Boston's playing you, they're going to let you get yours. They're not worried about you getting yours. They're worried about the other ones sitting on sidelines getting cold. And that's what's going on now. Those players are getting cold. It's cold out there when one person got the ball dribbling things. And I know you're saying, well, those players are missing shots. They are. I'm sorry, they are missing shots, but guess what? You shoot yourself in and you shoot yourself out. And if you have to have the opportunity to shoot yourself in. And I think it's time that LeBron starts giving them the opportunities to shoot themselves in. That way he could get them, because think about it, Rodney Hood ends up averaging 16. I think you'll win. Kevin Love gets over 20. You definitely can win. And you get Jeff Green, who I think is their most versatile player. You get him going and he gets at least between 14 and 20, I think your team can win, because those players create matchup problems. But when they're standing around waiting for you to decide whether you want to pass it and then you decide not to pass it, 4 or 5 possessions down, all of a sudden these players are cold. I mean, let's look at if you're on a basketball game, NBA Live, you playing that for a couple of hours, your players get cold, it's the same thing. I mean, right now I think LeBron needs to facilitate more. Maybe coaching is a question. Maybe Tyronn Lue is not the coach for this team, and there's nothing wrong with that. I don't say he can't be a coach, but maybe having the personality of LeBron and trying to deal with that and other players, maybe it's just too much. And it's too much for a lot of coaches. I mean, LeBron goes through some coaches. So let's not pretend like he doesn't have a big personality. I'm not faulting him to the standpoint where I feel as though he's a coach killer, but I'm saying that sometimes you can be so big on the court and off the court, so much is riding on you as being the face of the league right now, being the face of everything that you do. I mean, your word carry volumes, that sometimes you could be in practice and you could say something and all of a sudden someone be like, take it the wrong way, and then all of a sudden, of course, the team gonna side with you. You're LeBron. Plus, you have the option to leave them, and they're scared right now, so they're going to do everything in their power to want to keep you. And that could go against the team. So tonight, I hope LeBron uses his players and, gets the most out of them. On the flip side, I mean, I wouldn't be hurt if Boston goes up 3-0. I mean, right now, Boston has no fear. I mean, they're not supposed to be here. They have no they have no NBA star power right now, and they're up 2-0. They can sweep, or they can still finish out series in 7. I think 6. I mean, look, but can't count out LeBron. Remember, he has been known to come back from 2-0. It's not like it's unheard of with LeBron. So it'll be interesting to see. I think tonight's game will be that test. If he facilitates more and his team scoring goes up, I mean, team as in everybody contributes on the offensive side of the ball, I honestly think that the series will change and the tide will be in his court. And I think that they can ultimately win the series. But I can't count out Boston anymore. So we'll move out west where the Rockets played a speedball and found the way to beat the Warriors. I don't take no measure. And I mean, be honest with you, they're good enough to win one game. I don't think they're good enough to keep up that pace. Because when you look at the Rockets, they're a good team. Harden, he can score. Chris Paul can score, and plus he's a great floor general. Trevor Ariza, I think he's an underrated player. You know, I'll never forget, years ago, I had a coworker of mine that kept saying, Trevor Ariza. I was like, who's Trevor Ariza? Just like, watch. And till today, Trevor Ariza is still around, still doing his thing, so I can't even get mad at him. Saying, and he's a good defensive stopper. And plus, he's good at his percentage is pretty high shooting threes. But do I think they have enough firepower to keep up with the Warriors' four-headed monster? No. Because you're pretty much saying that Steph Curry is going to have a bad series. I don't think he's going to have a bad series. He had a bad game, but a bad series, I don't think so. Plus, they can win without Steph Curry. That doesn't diminish Steph Curry and his value to the team, but that lets you know that they're a team. They got players that can step in. Iguodala could step in. Sean Livingston could step in. I mean, even Swaggy P can step in because you still have Klay Thompson, which I think is very valuable. I can't even give a value to Kevin Durant. I mean, he's just Kevin Durant. And Draymond Green, I think he's the backbone. If he goes down, then we have an issue with the Warriors in this series. But as long as you have Draymond Green and he's the backbone, he's the voice, he's the heart and soul of that team. He's that intangible that they always talk about with quarterbacks. They got that it factor. Well, Draymond is that it factor for the Warriors. And trust and believe, they heard enough of his mouth to not lose another game to the Rockets. So I hate to say it, the Rockets, they cannot keep up that pace. Unfortunately, they won't keep up that pace. Steph Curry will wake up and realize who he is. Klay Thompson is bigger, stronger, and a very, very prominent scorer. I mean, and Kevin Durant, there is no answer for him. Trevor Ariza is good, but Kevin Durant is way better. And Draymond, who acts as their point guard, by the way. He'll get the rebound, bring the ball up, and the offense will flow through him. That's scary. So they're a scary team, and that's just 4. That's not even adding in Sean Livingston, Iguodala, who was the MVP of the finals. Let's not forget that. And let's not forget about Swaggy P. Y'all may not like him. Y'all may not be hearing about him, but he's due for a 10 to 20 point game here and there. I mean, he's learning a lot, and this was probably one of the best situations for him to be in. So I see the Rockets maybe getting one more game, maybe, but I'm pretty sure the Warriors and Draymond Green mouth is going to pretty much close this series out. So I'm going to stick with the Warriors on this one. Coming out of the West, the East, if LeBron wins tonight, yes. But if they don't, it will be Boston. And this is where it will get interesting with Boston. Because Kyrie Irving, Gordon Hayward, especially Gordon Hayward, he's probably healthy enough to actually play in the finals. If you're Danny Ainge, what would you do? That's an interesting subject to be thinking about. And those are good problems. Oh, trust me, he has good problems. As they say, rich people problems. He has rich people problems. He has it where, hey, I'm good now. If I bring these two back, and if we make it to the finals, should I bring these two back? we be better? Or do I stick with what I have and hold them off to next year? Can I win with these guys? And if I win with these guys, if I beat Cleveland, especially tonight, if I win tonight, I'm going to the finals. No way. I'm going to the finals if I win tonight. Can I beat the Warriors with these guys? Or do I want to add in Kyrie, who should be available, Gordon Hayward, who is available? Or should I hold off on them and see what they do against the Warriors? That's amazing problems. Those are problems that these teams like the Phoenix Suns would love to have. That's a problem that every team in the NBA right now, sports-wide, would love to have. I'm good now. And the players I have on the floor now are getting great experience. But I have an NBA champion in my back pocket and another 20-point scorer in my back pocket. What do I do? Good people problems. And that's going to be an interesting question to ask, especially if they go up 3-0 tonight. That will be the amazing question he'll have to answer during the finals, because they already asked him that question. Why don't you let him play now? And he's like, nope, we're going to hold him off the next season. If they end up in the finals, would you see one or both? I think you should do Hayward because he's healed the most. But do you just look at the team you have and you say, you know what? I think we could beat the Warriors. The scary part about it is they probably could beat the Warriors. And if they do beat the Warriors without those two stars, next year is scary. It's already scary now. Just imagine if Boston pulls it out. So we'll switch it up a little bit. And I like to talk about my man T.O. Terrell Owens, the second greatest wide receiver in the NFL history, besides his mentor, Jerry Rice. Jerry Rice is number one. T.O.'s number two. Stats prove that. He may want to come out of retirement. You know, there's jokes out there, and one of the jokes is he needs the money. Hey, I'm not going to say he doesn't need the money. He probably does need the money. And not to add or take away, but have you seen Terrell Owens? Physically, Terrell Owens probably could play. Is he your number one? No. Is he your number two? No. Number three? Yes. More importantly, could he be your wide receiver coach? Conditioning? Yes. I mean, he has taken care of his body throughout the years. He has not had major injuries. He's not like those other wide receivers that always get hurt. I mean, outside the broken leg, which he came back from in like 2-3 weeks. I mean, he hopped into the Michael Jackson chamber and healed his leg in like 2 weeks and played in the Super Bowl that year and literally played in the Super Bowl. That's why he was upset with Donovan McNabb. He came back from a broken leg and went out there and got over, 5 to 10 receptions for like over 100 some odd yards. I mean, he put his heart, because it was the Super Bowl. I mean, I don't even know if he was completely healed, but he played that Super Bowl like his life was on the line. And he was mad at Donovan McNabb because he saw Donovan McNabb get tired. That's the truth. He's not a quarterback killer. He's just looking at the quarterback like, you making the money. You should be out here putting your life on the line just like me. And when I say life, I don't mean your life, but as far as your football life, as far as this is what you came to play it for. And that's what he did in that game. That's what he made him mad. But physically, he's amazing. He has literally taken care of his body. Could he teach these wide receivers how to take care of their body? Discipline? Yes, of course. I think it would be great for Dez and Odell. You know, those two have had some injuries within their careers. I think working out with Terrell Owens will help them condition-wise. Now, on the mental side, you know, with age comes wisdom. So I think Terrell is smarter now. So a lot of the antics that he has done in the past, he will not do. And of course, he will not teach them those antics. Besides, Odell don't need no help with that. We already know what he does with a pizza box and an Instagram model. So I think he can play. I don't know if a team would give him a chance. That would be the thing. Will a team give him a chance? Has he, you know, overstayed his welcome in the league? But if Michael Vick could get a chance to be a quarterback coach, So, I mean, Terrell Owens can be a wide receiver coach or a conditioning coach. And I think that a team should bring him in, especially if you have young wide receivers. I think he'll be good to help them. Conditioning, mentally preparing for the NFL season, because that you can't take that away from him. He studies. He prepares himself. He knows how it feels to be on the biggest stage, to make the biggest catches, and make the biggest drops. He's done that. So I think him coming back will be good. I hope a team does take a chance on him. I mean, you're not getting the 1999 Terrell Owens or even the 2005 Terrell Owens, but you're getting a Terrell Owens who is probably better than half the people on the field at his position, and I do believe that. So I hope they do look into that, and I think it'll be good for them. So, sports gambling, legal. Big picture, I mean, it's the same as it's always been, except now entities are making money, NBA, things like that, NFL, teams are making money off of it legally. The interesting part about this is when we start looking at it, because now big money's involved. So, they always had gambling. Let's keep it real. They always had gambling. There's bets on Vegas every day. Let's not pretend that there's not gambling. This gambling is the legal version of them making money off of it. And they said within the right now collective bargaining agreement, the players are going to end up getting 50% of that. That's a lot of money. And I think that's good that the players will benefit off of it. Because remember, every year the TV deals go up. Teams are making money. Players should make money off of it. So now that you add gambling into it, which is a whole nother revenue service, which is a bigger revenue service, they're going to get 50% of that. That's amazing to me, and I like that. Here's where it's going to get interesting. Because now when you start talking about people money, let's look at Greg Popovich. He's known to rest players with bogus injuries. Now that these teams are in a bigger realm as far as making money, I don't think that will fly anymore. So those games that you go to because you think you're going to see your star, and then your star just happens to be flu, I don't think that's going to happen anymore. I think your stars will be playing. If they can play, they will play because now it's money. So, of course, if your stars are playing, people are going to bet more. Plus, now you have to look at it as if you pull that star, that changes the bets. Get where I'm going? So now you may get, let's look at it like this. Kawhi. We don't know if he's super hurt, semi-hurt, or even hurt at all. But we know that he's looking at his career. Now that you add gambling into it, that situation is probably going to get a lot worse because now teams are you're not going to bet on the Spurs if Kawhi is not playing. So now that's revenue that the team is going to lose out on. It changes the landscape more so than thinking about playoff like normal people. Well, gamblers think different. Point spreads, things like that. So taking out Kawhi changes that. Greg Popovich, back in the day, resting Tim Duncan because he stumped his toe, that ain't going to happen anymore. These players are actually going to be on the court unless they're bleeding. So I wonder if they're going to try to change it up when they come up to the table for the next bargaining agreement, because in one article it said that now, the injury report will have to be laid out maybe even weeks in advance to get people ready and prepared, to place their bets. So that's going to be interesting. That's one of the changes. Point shaving and all that, you already could semi-see that in sports. A couple of years ago they had it with the referee. I think Tim Donovan kind of helped changing the outcome of games because they were betting on games. Pete Rose in baseball betting on games, even though he said he never betted on his teams. But so gambling has always been part of sports. It's big in boxing. It's just human nature. We bet when we do rock, paper, scissors. So betting is just a part of life. But now you're seeing it on a bigger scale where now it's going to affect how people are used in games. Do you play a superstar 40 straight minutes now, 48 straight minutes? Do you? Do you rest them more? Players like Steph Curry, who you will want to rest a little bit more during the regular season. Now all of a sudden, gambling is involved. Do you play him more? He got genie ankles. He could flop and fall at any point. So that's going to be interesting to see how they move forward with the players and how the players respond to that. But overall, I think it's pretty good. Any other revenue service they can get, I'm all for that. I mean, and especially if the players get a percentage of it, because it's a players' league. Once again, the players make the league. You're not buying anything of that team unless it has a player on it. You fell in love with that team because of a particular player. So I like the way it's going. I'm just waiting to see how it ends. You know, it always starts off rocky, but it smooths out during the end, especially when you start seeing those bigger contracts. You know, that $220 million contract that the players are signing now may go up to 3, 4. So, hey, it's our money. We're betting on them. So we can't get mad at that. This NBA offseason. A lot of teams, a lot of questions. Even outside of the draft, which I think Bagley should be number one, personally. But I'm biased because I'm Duke all the way, so I think every Duke player is a number one pick. But this year, I actually think he should be number one. I think he's probably ready to be number one. I think he's the most NBA ready player. But with that being said, do I think the Phoenix Suns are an organization that can mold him and make him better? No, unfortunately, I don't. But I'm hearing talks that they're willing to trade the number one pick. I think that's smart of them, because if you don't have a good system of drafting good people in place to evaluate talent, you can mess up. I mean, we seen Cleveland mess up. So, and we seen teams mess up. I mean, that number one pick, you can't mess it up. So being willing to trade it is smart. But outside of the draft, I mean, you have some players that may be on the trading block. Of course, everybody's talking about Leonard, Kawhi, but I think the Spurs will work it out with him. And I think that not only will they work it out with him, I think, honestly, they can probably pull another star player. I think Paul George could go there. Why not? I don't think that is impossible. I think right now, that personally to me, that would probably be the best fit for him. It's an established organization. They have a winning culture. And even though the rocky turbulence that they had with Kawhi, it's still a player-friendly situation. And I think that that's a good situation, even though I think they got spoiled with Tim Duncan taking all those pay cuts. I think overall they are a great situation for a player, and I think Paul George will fit right in with Kawhi. You have defense and offense, and you still got Aldridge who can score. You still have a core that you drafted that you can draft, the other team that can draft. I say keep them, go for it. Let's look at, oh man, who else? Washington, the backcourt. Wall and Beal, do you keep them? Do you trade one? You know, out of them, who has the most trade value? John Wall, of course. Let's not, Bill is good, but John Wall is better. Can you play them and win with them constructed now? No. You'll have to bring in another person. The problem is, can you bring in another person? Reason why I bring that up is, let's look at Portland. They got the same situation. A good backcourt. Lillard and McCollum, they're good. I would even say borderline great. But do you keep them? Can you keep them together? Which one has more trade value? Of course, Leonard. So you will trade them. The problem is, can you bring in another person? They were going hard for Carmelo. But Carmelo didn't want to go there. I don't blame Carmelo for not wanting to go there. I think Carmelo chose a better situation, even though a lot of people right now looking at it like, well, that situation may actually end up being worse, but I think they could work it out. But Toronto, those dinosaurs, man, boy, I know somebody that swears by them dinosaurs, and I keep telling them, man, that only on Saturdays can you see them. And right now, every Saturday, the museum is free. Go see you some Raptors. They got a situation too. They got DeRozan and Lowry. Do they trade? Do they keep? Can they get a free agent to come play up north? That's going to be the interesting question, because the free agency market is bigger than what we think. A lot of people are becoming free agents, even low-key people like Okafor, who is a good medium-sized, power forward that can score. I like him scoring. Defensive, I'm not gonna lie to you, he's not the best at defense, but hey, it's the NBA. 2018 version. They don't play defense. He fits out well. He was leading scorer for the Sixers in his rookie year, so his ability to score is good. Free agent. I mean, so you got pieces that you could put together. The problem is, will they come play there? And right now, I don't know. These three teams, they got questions. I mean, can you bring players? Do you trade? I mean, are there trade partners out there? You know, I was thinking about the Lakers right now. I personally didn't like the trade that they did. I like Nance. I think they should have kept Nance and Clarkson, but they didn't. They cleared up cap space. Do I think they need to make any other trades? No. I think right now you're prime, and you already showed this season what you can do with the core that you have. Adding a superstar that through free agency will be better. Can you do that? Like, you're the Lakers. You can. The problem is, how? You went through that little stumbling a couple of years where players didn't want to come. Now you have a new culture. Magic Johnson brings a smile, a winning attitude. I like that. It makes y'all look friendly again. So will that help attract? Plus y'all got Hollywood. Can it attract LeBron James? I think it can, personally. Everything he's doing now has transitioned to Hollywood. I mean, the man is bigger behind the camera than we really think. He's involved in a lot of stuff. He has a great team around him. So him going to the Lakers would not be a bad thing. Do I want him to go? No. I would love him to stay in Cleveland, finish out his career in Cleveland, and hopefully bring him another championship. But business is business. Money's money. And there is probably the best thing for his money. And I don't blame him. They're talking about should Boston trade Kyrie now? No, keep him. He's young. He's a champion. He's giving you everything you need. Plus, he's helping you on the sidelines. Don't think that him and Terry Rozier are not talking. Don't think Kyrie is not telling them how to play LeBron. Come on. He's giving them insight. That's the best part about it. And keeping him will be better because you can actually have a backcourt with Kyrie and Terry. They both can start. Now, the odd man out, and I said it earlier in the show, would be Gordon Hayward. I mean, I can't see Tatum going back to the bench. He done so much in the starting lineup that it's hard to see him going back to the bench. I think you would create a problem. It's not to say Gordon Hayward could come off the bench. That's $100 million coming off the bench. I don't think you want $100 million coming off the bench. You ask Memphis Grizzlies about that problem with $100 million coming off the bench and only averaging 6 points. So I think they're in prime position to make a trade, and that will probably benefit a lot of teams because Gordon Hayward is 28, he'll be 29. Even though he's coming off of a major injury, I still think he could still score, and I think he's not your number one, but you add him to a team, he could be your number two scorer, and that's what you need right now. I like that trade if they decide to trade. There are teams out there. Indiana being one of those teams, I think that they just ran out of scoring. Personally, I just think they ran out of scoring. I mean, Oladipo, my apologies, he proved to me that he's better than what I thought. I wasn't sold on him coming out of Indiana in college. I didn't see him as a next Michael Jordan. I still don't see him as a next Michael Jordan. But what I do see is a person that's determined to be better than what he was. By the way, he actually has a good album. He can sing. So check him out. And I think that helps out a lot of players is when they start growing and maturing in the league. And I think right now he's maturing. He has grown. And now he knows who he is and he plays with himself. Could you imagine if they added Gordon Hayward? That would be a nice team in the East. Boston could do that. If I'm Boston, I wouldn't do that because you trade into a rival. But you could do that. I mean, look at Phoenix. They're willing to give up the number one draft. If you're Boston, you draft well anyway. Your power forwards are aging. You trade Hayward to Phoenix, get that number one pick. Guess what? You could turn that number one pick into a nice power forward center, one coming out of Arizona. And now you have another piece to your puzzle for what I always like to say, a 10-year team. Back in the day, they used to build teams for 10 years. And you're starting to see Boston and the Warriors build teams for 10 years. And I will have to throw the Bucks in there. they're doing a 10-year team. Also, they got a lot of pieces that are good. The problem is they all similar. And that's what you're looking at it with Milwaukee. Milwaukee got a similar team. They're all about the same height. They all literally play the same style. So really, do you have any shooters? Not really. You got a lot of big men that can handle the ball, but you don't have no definite shooters. And I think that they need a shooter. If you're Boston, you like one of those linky big men, why don't you pull the trigger? Pull one of them. And if you're the Bucks, I would take it. Gordon Hayward as a shooter. You got the Greek Freak, and you still have Parker. Even though Parker gave you a little sample size because coming off injury, Parker was averaging double figures. Parker can score, and he's coming up. I think if you Milwaukee, you secure him. If not, I think he'll be a good fit for a team that needs another scorer. He's a great scorer. You know, and that's the thing. Right now, you just got a lot of teams, and one team I haven't talked about is OKC. Paul George is not coming back. I don't think he's coming back, but I don't think it's because of Westbrook. I don't think it's because of the organization. I just think that he knows his value, and even though he may not have, he will leave money on the table as far as his pro contract. He knows off the field he can make a lot more. So I think he will go to a team where he can make more money, and it's no fault of the way that they play. I think right now with OKC, knowing that you won't get Paul George, you do concentrate on the assets that you do have. I still think you still have a good team. Remember, this was a team without Carmelo and Paul George that ended up in the playoffs last year. They ended up in the playoffs this year. I think they had a year under their belt, especially him and Carmelo, which I think right now Carmelo's in the interesting spot. I don't think he wants to get traded. I think he should stay there. And I think with Paul George gone, he becomes number 2. Which is great for him because he's still a 20-point scorer. And pride gets in the way. And a lot of times your pride can fuel your game and it can hinder your game. With Carmelo, his pride fuels his game. So him scoring more actually is a great benefit for not only the team but for himself. So him not scoring he was kind of like not in the game because he's not scoring. Moving forward, you have him and you have Westbrook. I think Westbrook is a bigger version of Iverson. I think he has everything that Iverson had, except he's in a bigger format. He can't be stopped. And I think right now you just got to build a team around what he can do. I think they should ask Larry Brown to come in and be a consultant. Honestly, I think right now having him, because Larry Brown built the team around Iverson that we all just looked at and was like, that team doesn't make sense. But it took them to the finals. So now you have a player that's similar to Iverson. You already know Larry Brown has history and experience with that type of player. Right now, I think you should employ him and ask him how to do this. What shall we do? Should we keep Carmelo? Should we break up the team? Should we keep it the way it is and have everything flow through Westbrook? I know y'all saying everything flew through Westbrook already, but everything flow through Westbrook and let him facilitate outward. That's going to be interesting. Very interesting. Just like the Philadelphia experience, I seen a meme that showed Philadelphia looking like the Eastern All-Star team with added players of LeBron, Paul George, and Kawhi Leonard to Ben Simmons and Embiid. And I was like, wow, that would never happen, but that was a cool looking picture. But could you trade? Maybe. Could you get Paul George? He's a free agent, yeah. Could you trade your number 1 draft pick, which was a waste of space? Well, let me take that back. I'm not going to say he's a waste of space. He's one of those players that will benefit from the G and D League. And I think that when you got players like that, I think it's time to start doing that. Teams should have farm systems. Baseball has a great farm system where players who they feel like is not ready, they put them double A, single A, triple A, all the way up. And then when they're ready, they come in and Right off the bat, they're playing. I think the NBA should do that. I think they should invest more in those developmental leagues. And you see that, the G League, the D League, I think you should have. I think players will benefit more. And I think Phelps would be one of them that would have benefited more. He's not a shooter, but he wasn't a shooter in college. He's not a winner either. Unfortunately, when he was in college, his college team was not a winning program. You lucked up with Ben Simmons, but Ben Simmons is 6'10" and can handle the ball. There's a difference. So he don't have to rely on a jump shot. He could post you up. He could drive to the hole. There's not too many people that can stop Ben Simmons. So you lucked up with him. Moving forward, that's going to be a question. Do you keep him? Markelle, I think you should trade him if you can. Why not? If you know Boston right now may want to not get rid of Hayward, but may be possible to trade Hayward, would you pull the trigger if you have the assets to do it? If you feel you have the assets to do it, could you go after Paul George? Yeah, because I think you have the cap space to do it. That would be smart. Could you go after Kawhi? Yeah, you could. Would that be a trade that the Spurs will make? I don't know. That would be an interesting, dynamic. But if you Philly, I mean, you know what you could do right now with what you have. But adding a person, I think you should add more of a shooter than anything. I think a shooter will help you out more because you saw how JJ Redick flourished in the style that y'all play. I mean, he almost averaged 20 points a night. I mean, that's pretty good. Adding another scorer, especially a little bigger one, because Gordon Hayward's 6'8", he may be linky, but he's bigger. Could you imagine him? That would relieve the pressure off Embiid so much. Especially the fact that Embiid barely plays back-to-back games and I understand because he's injury prone. And he hasn't earned the right to that play multiple games in a row because he's still working on his physical health. So, I mean, I think I would pull the trigger. I mean, I don't know. I think it'll be good. I mean, maybe look at Kemba Walker. I mean, Charlotte needs so much help right now. I think trading Kemba Walker would probably be in their best interest. I think keeping him would be a disservice to him because you're not going to get fixed overnight, and you already had him for 6 to 8 years. So I think right now you should look at trading him. If there's a team out there, trade him to a playoff team. Get some assets back and start rebuilding again. I mean, I always think that you're in rebuild mode anyway. Every time I turn around, Michael Jordan to rebuild, and I don't think he draft well. I mean, the addition of Dwight Howard was actually a good one. Even though it didn't pan out, it was better than the $100 million he gave Batum, who averages barely 10 points. I mean, you gave him $100 million just to show up to games. So, picking up Dwight Howard was actually good because Dwight Howard actually averaged double figures in points and rebounds. So I think that was a good pickup, even though he's on the tail end of his career, but he can teach. And if you're drafting, he teach. If you're looking at the standpoint of, I want to start over, and Phoenix is willing to trade that number one pick, I think Kemba Walker's worth the number one pick. I think he'll fit well in Phoenix, even though they got Devin Booker. I like him. They got Jackson. I haven't seen much of him, but I think he'll pan out. He's bigger, but Booker's where it's at. But adding in another guard, maybe to be your point guard, probably would be good for you. I like that. If you're Charlotte and you want to rebuild, that's the route to go. Man, let's switch gears to New Orleans. They have an interesting situation. But losing probably helped them make that decision a lot more, or made it a lot more easier when they started looking at the fact that, hey, Davis is great. Davis is the future. But when you have Cousins too, it makes your future a little bit better. And I think that Cousins coming back, there'll be a better team. You keep Rondo, you have Holiday. And I think you have a decent team, and I think that you can be successful in the West because DeMarcus Cousins was slimming down. Maybe, that would have helped them out a lot when they were, being beat up on by the Warriors because, like I tell people, having that extra scorer helps. I mean, the facilitating part is easy. You have Rondo. Rondo wants to give. He is the most giving point guard that we probably ever seen besides Magic. He can facilitate the ball like it's nobody's business. He don't care about scoring. He just wants to pass the ball. He can literally average 30 assists a night. And it's amazing. And you have him on your team with Anthony Davis and you have DeMarcus Cousins. Maybe you can add a third piece. If you have the cap space, maybe these teams that be looking to trade, you may be able to add another scorer, outside scorer. Like I said, I still think Boston may be shopping Gordon Hayward after the season. No matter how the season ends, I don't see him staying because I think it'll create more problems moving forward. And if you don't believe me, look at it like this. Tatum, Brown, Smart, Hayward. They're all interchangeable. Tatum and Brown have shown you what they can do. You done this without Hayward the whole season. I'm not saying you don't want to try it, but are you going to split the time between Hayward and Tatum? Who's going to go to the bench? Can you bring one off the bench? Tatum, of course, but is it fair? Tatum really has contributed. He's really contributed. I don't know. It's not a bad thing. These are what we call rich people problems. Boston has it. And if you're a team that needs another scorer, I would pursue it. Gordon Hayward is a good scorer. And I think right now, if you can get him, get him. So, winding down, we have all these awards coming up. MVP. Honestly, I don't know who should be MVP. I personally don't think it should be Harden. I don't think he done anything spectacular. I would give it to LeBron just by default because of what he has done. The problem with LeBron having it is the fact that LeBron does this on a continuous basis. This is nothing new. He's a prisoner of his success. And unfortunately, his success has made it impossible to say that anything else he does makes him MVP, but I think he does deserve MVP. This team was in turmoil from training camp all the way to the trade deadline till now, and they're in the Eastern Conference Finals, and he has steadied the ship as much as he can. Some people say he's pad stuffing or stat stuffing. I don't care, because at the end of the day, that's what they do. So, winding down, thank y'all for joining us. We had an exciting show, talked about a couple of topics. We'll be back talking about some more things. And peace, love, hair grease.